Good day everyone, I am Jio Perey and I will be presenting our group's final laboratory exercise for E2 or client or server-side scripting. Our project is called the Simple Library System and it is written in PHP. And the main idea behind the system is to manage borrowing records in a library. More specifically, keeping track of who borrowed a book and who wrote it. Based on the case scenario given to us, the library needed a system that could add, view, update, and delete borrowing records. And instead of using a database to store the data, we use PHP sections, which basically means the data is stored temporarily on the server while the user is active on the page. Now, let me show you how the system actually looks. When you open the page, the first thing you'll see is the form at the top. This is where you fill in the book title, the author, and the name of the borrower. When you're adding a new record, the button says Save Record. But when you click or edit on an existing record, the form will load the record's information and the button will change to Update Record. So the same form handles both adding and editing. So below the form is the table, and this is where all the borrowing records are displayed. Each row shows the book's title, the author, the borrower's name, and two action links, which is the edit and delete button. If there are no records yet, the table will show a message saying no records were found. There is also a reset session button which clears all the records at once. This is useful when you want to start over without having to delete each record one by one. So that covers the general overview of our system, and in the next parts, my group mates will explain the actual code in more detail, and we will end the presentation with a live walkthrough of all the test cases. So I will now pass it over to John Atchico, and thank you for listening.
So, greetings, Sir Janus. So, I am John Michael Atchico from 2ITC. So, here in my part, the book and the borrower class. So, here we have book class that serves as our primary data for the books. And as we all notice, we have the class fields book title and the author. And we implement a private keyword that encapsulate the given data, which means that the data is hidden and cannot be directly modified or accessed from the outside class. We have also the constructor that it will initializes object. It will also with also the title and the author that the moment it is created. Along with it, we have the getter and setters that will retrieve or update the data. So we have also the borrower class. So here, the purpose of it is just to borrow from the borrower name and the book. So here we have also the class field borrower name and also the book, which is the book is um, stored inside the borrower. It is called object composition. So it allows build complex systems by combining simpler objects together. So this is class fields. So we have also the constructor for the borrower class. So we have the borrower's name and the book, which I've used it as a type hinting by placing the class name book first before the book. So this is a strict enforcement tool that will ensure that the program will throw an error if anything other than a valid book object is passed. So lastly, we have also the getters and setters for the borrower to retrieve and update the given data in the borrowers. So that's all for my part.
Madangal greetings, Sir Janus. I will now explain how the add and update records works. So first, when the form is submitted, we will check if the $post global variable save is set using this isSet function, and if that is true, we will get the book title, the author, and the borrower name from the input inside the form, and trim its value, and sanitize it using HTML cars function, and assign it to this book title, author, and borrower name variables. Next, we will check if these three value is empty using the empty method, and if that variables are not empty, we will create a new book object using or with its parameter book title and author. Next, we will check if the user is adding or updating. So if the user is updating, the post index is set and the index is not equals to null. In that way, we will know that the user is updating. And if the user is updating, we will get the index value from the input inside the form, and turn its value into an integer since the data type returned by input fields are string, and assign it into the index variable. And next, we will now set or get the specific object inside the borrower's array that is stored inside a session, and set its values, the borrower's name, and the book object. Next, if the user is not editing, it means they are adding new records, and that new records will be a new object, a new borrower object with a borrower name and a book object. And after creating that object, we will add the newly created object into the borrower's list that is also stored in a session variable. After all those procedures, we will redirect the user to the form to avoid resubmission and exit the code.
Greetings, Sir Jonas. My name is Dranzer Peralta, and I'm here to demonstrate the edit, delete, and reset session of our simple library system. So we have here the records, and there's two actions, which is the edit and delete. So for now, I will showcase the edit and next the delete. So first the edit. So as you can see, once we hit the edit button, there's the URL will have an edit text here, and it will, as you can see, the records here, the record from the borrowed books is going to fill the fields here, and it is fetched by this block of code that gets the fields, what do you call this, that gets the inputs from the fields that will be assigned for our record. So as you can see, for now I'll just skip the book title and the author. I'll just change the borrower name to John. As you can see, upon updating the record, the update record, so we can see the borrower name changes from James to John. So let's give it another go for hairstyling. But for now, I want to change the book title. So Jujutsu Kaisen, and let's say James borrowed it. As you can see, upon updating the record, it will also reflect here. And for the delete action button, so let's say I want to delete the Jujutsu Kaisen. So once upon hitting the delete button, there will going to be an alert message that asks the user is if they are sure they want to delete this
record. So upon hitting the cancel, of course it will cancel the action. So for the delete, we have here this block of code. So you can see it this block of this specific line of code, it reindexes the array to prevent gaps, and this block of code is redirect the program to index.php after deleting a specific record. So uh, upon the upon hitting OK, so as you can see, the Jujutsu Kaisen is now removed from the borrowed books record. So for the reset, as you can see, we have here the is set session feature. So this is the reset session button. As you can see, have here the that upon hitting the reset session button, there will going to be an alert message that asks the user if they want to delete all the records in the table. So upon hitting OK, it will set all of the array into I mean, it will delete all the records from the array, and once the cancel button is hit, so of course it will cancel the action, and once the OK button is hit, it will empty the array that populates the table. That's all, Sir Janus. Thank you.
So, greetings, Sir Janus. I am Axel and I will gonna be showing you the live demo of our lab quiz number 1. So first, as you can see, we have here a form for adding new borrowing record. And then below, we have here a table for showing the borrowed books. And then first, let's go to the test case number 1. So for the test case number 1, it says that add first record with book title of PHP Basics and author name of John with the borrowing name of Anna. So let's type here the book title. Let's type PHP Basics. And then next for the author name, we have here John. And then for the borrower name, let's put Anna. And then let's click the save record button. And then after clicking the save record button, we can see that the table is now updated with those data that we put in our form. And then let's go to the test case number 2. And then in the test case number 2, it says that add second record with book title of JS Fundamentals, author name of Mary, and borrower name of Peter. So let's put that here. Let's type JS Fundamentals to the book title. And then Mary for the author name. Then Peter for the borrower. And then let's click the save record button. Then after clicking the save record button, you can see that the table is now updated and it has an additional information based on the inputs that we put in our form. And then let's go to the test case number 3. So for the test case number 3, it says that click edit on record at index 0. So the record at index 0 is the book title that has PHP Basic. So let's click this table row. So after clicking the edit button in that row, in this row, an update borrowing record form appeared. And this form is pre-filled with the
information in this row. And then next, let's go to the test case number 4. So the test case number 4 says that update borrower name to Marius. So let's do that here. So let's type Maria to replace Anna for the borrower name. And then let's click the update record button. And then after clicking the update record button, we can see that the record at index 0 has now been updated. So we can see that the borrower name is now Maria instead of Anna. And then the add new borrowing record form is now here. So it replaced the update borrowing record form. And then next, for the last test case, so the test case number 5, delete record at index number 1. So the record at index number 1, index 1 is the table row with the book title of JS Fundamentals. So let's click the delete button in this row. So after clicking the delete button in this row, we have here an alert that says, are you sure you want to delete this borrowing record? And then let's click OK. And then after clicking the OK on that alert, we can see that the table has now been updated and the record at index number 1 has now been deleted. So that's all for our lab quiz number 1. Thank you for watching.